What if Betrayal ended the Red Dragon Emperor?
Only for him to be reborn as the vampire's son?
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei was betrayed to death and reborn as Subaru Sakamaki son movie. Before we start, please go support Jods89 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Have you ever thought that everything you've done has value to someone, that if you put in the effort you'll be rewarded? Well, in my case, not because I saw that the person who would be by my side, my brother, would take away everything I have, everything I love. But you appeared and changed everything. Prologue. Note. Subaru. Damn, I'm going to cry in a corner. I'll be right back. I said, crying in the corner. Current location: Underworld. In a dungeon in the deepest part of it, there is a cell with little lighting and complete silence, being interrupted at times, with the sound of drops falling every 5 seconds. Drip. As the sound fell, the low lighting revealed a huge pool of blood. Drip. Little by little it was seen how the blood came from a young man with brown hair, who had marks of blows and horrible torture. Drip. The boy's gaze was dull, his eyes had no shine, implying one thing. He had no life, while blood flowed from the marks of whipping, blows, and burns. Drip. Out of nowhere a sound is heard in the room where the cell door is seen opening, revealing a man with long red hair. Drip. The man only had a look of contempt as he looked at the bloodied young man. Surziches. The time has come, damn garbage, he said with contempt, but the young man said nothing. It's time, move. He shouted, this time very annoyed, but the young man said nothing, bothering the red-haired man who made signs with his hands, causing several guards to enter, taking the young man who made no movement to defend himself, being dragged through the corridors of the dungeons, until the red-haired man created a magic circle, teleporting them both to a courtroom where the people that the brown-haired boy swore to protect were located, who now only discarded him with looks of disappointment, disgust, and repudiation. This was what the young man received, who said nothing and had a dead look, seeing nothing itself. In the stands of the trial is the older brother of Chestnut named Ryu, who looked at him with superiority and arrogance, while he grabbed the butts of a red-haired girl and a black-haired girl. Surziches. Today we are here gathered to finally get rid of the useless garbage that is useless, said the red-haired man at a table in the middle of the room, while everyone listens to him. Azazel. You're just a useless person who's good for nothing, remember that trash will always be trash, said a man with jet black hair and a blonde streak. Michael. Also, Ryu-chan told us that you were on the side of the Chaos Brigade, a man with long blonde hair said contemptuously to the brown-haired man who said nothing. Ryu. You see, little brother, you will never be as important as me. Since you were born, you were just a disappointment, a simple burden to us, he said arrogantly, but the brown-haired man didn't say anything. Greg. You should never have been born useless, said a voice from the arm of the younger brown-haired boy, being that of a certain red dragon. Ross. Did you really think we could be something? Student and teacher jaw, don't make me laugh, you're just garbage, he said with venom. Bekeno. Come on trash, you're not going to say anything, she said while the brown-haired man didn't say anything. Rias. I regret having met you and revived you, you're just a stupid idiot, she said with disgust, but again the brown-haired man didn't say anything. Court steps. Pathetic, you are pathetic, why don't you die, imbecile, between more words until he heard his mother's voice speak. Mickey. I wish I had aborted you, were her simple words full of resentment towards her son. The brown-haired boy didn't say anything, but inside he was crying. Surziches. So you can see that we are merciful, we will only bury a stab in your heart, he said, taking out a sword. Ryu. I will do it, he said, taking the sword and approaching his brother. Ryu. Don't worry, I'll take care of them and make love to them like a real man should, not like your stupid piece of trash, he said with disgust, but the brown-haired man didn't say anything again, which bothered the older brown-haired man who, without saying anything, stabs his brother, causing him to die. Issei. Te perdu no hermano were his last words, falling to the floor dead, while everyone felt joy of having eliminated the useless, but in that the whole room begins to shake, leaving everyone confused by that. Then you can see a golden sphere coming out of the boy's body, being attracted by a light towards the sky while a figure appeared, the figure of God. God. I am very disappointed in all of you, he said with a voice that echoed throughout the room. Michael Gabriel. Pa father shouted, shocked but at the same time happy to see him, but his father was not happy to see him. God. They blamed someone very good just for not seeing beyond power, and therefore I will give them a happy ending. As for you, I don't want to see you again. Karma will angry against you and you will suffer day and night from the consequences of your actions, he said, while everyone went pale upon hearing that, while the figure disappears from the area, leaving everyone confused by the latter. Issei. I appeared in this strange black place, I can't even see my nose or my face, is this my destiny for being useless, he said dejectedly, but then he feels like a force attracts him to an area. Issei. What is this? Why can't I talk? Why do I feel attracted? Why do I want to cry so much? He said as he saw a light at the end of the tunnel, feeling someone grab him. Then the image of a hospital room is shown while female screams and cries of support from a woman are heard. Nurse. Come on ma'am, you can push said, performing a delivery on a woman with long brown hair. Mamako. And what do you think I'm doing, damn my little baby, get out ay, was the brutal scream that the woman let out while the doctor took out a brown-haired baby who began to cry. Nurse. Congratulations, ma'am, it's a healthy baby boy, she said with a smile, placing a green blanket around the baby who was holding him in her arms. Mamako. Where is he? Can I see him? She said desperately, looking everywhere for her son while the doctor gave him to her. How beautiful he is, she said with a smile, carrying him with great affection and then giving him a hug. At that moment the door of the room opens, revealing a man with long white hair with pink tips who looked at the baby with great affection. Mamako. Look, love, isn't it beautiful, she said with a smile, looking at her husband who is only carrying the baby with great affection. The baby looks up seeing the man who only smiles at her with affection and then raises his right hand, showing a ring in it that generates a very intense light, showing in the process a baby stroller that he had created as if it were nothing. Subaru. Yes, it's beautiful, he said with a smile. Hello, my son, he said, looking at the baby with a big smile. Subaru. Welcome to the world, son, he said with a smile and then looked at the woman. Mamako. What will we call him? She said, looking at her husband with a smile, who began to meditate for a while, thinking of a name for their son. Subaru. It was already said with a smile, Issei said without further ado. Issei means honesty, and it is the same that I feel for you and for him, he said with a smile, while his wife began to meditate on that and then placed a smile. Issei. This is real, he said in his mind, shocked. Reincarnated with a new family, he said again in his mind, very happy to be able to start a new life from scratch. Mamako. It's decided, she said, lifting her son. You'll be called Issei, she said with a smile while the baby shows a smile, implying that he liked it. A while later the couple can be seen leaving the area heading towards their house where many people were waiting for them. Everyone. Surprised, they all shouted, being very happy for the couple. Seeing how the couple's friends approached them. Escanor. Congratulations friend, now my daughters will have a new friend to play with, said a white-haired man with red eyes with a smile. Narakanakado, don't forget my son, he and yours will be very good friends, said another white-haired man. Sebas 14 Pro, all that's missing is for him to have a son too so they can play, said a blue-haired man with a smile. ENZODEMATTEI88. Heh, it seems Yudo has someone to play with, said a green-haired man with a smile. The IEGOV3N0M, it seems that Leo and Diana will have someone to play with, said a happy red-haired man. JOS3AL20, well, my children will have someone to play with, said the banana tree happily. The ELAIEFF 1918, I just hope Neely and I have our child soon, said the brunette with a smile. Well, with the bros' wives. Mamako. It's a pleasure to see you girls again, she said with a smile while carrying Issei. Harley. Yes, I'm also glad to see you again, friend, said the banana grower's wife with a smile. Iris. Yes, I like to see you happy, my friend, said Diego's blonde wife smiling. Najire. What a great party, don't you think? Said Enzo's light blue-haired wife with a smile. Moderate. Emily and Jackie will be very happy with their new friend, said Oscar's wife happily. Neely. Heh, and when someone else said flirtatious, Giordani's girlfriend and Nero's cousin. Mamako. I'll ask Subaru if he'll give me another boy, although I also want a girl, she said with a smile. Lakima. Let's hope so, said Seba's girlfriend. Issei. So this is my new life, he said in his mind, happily seeing his new father and mother. Issei. I don't know why, but I think I'll be very happy, he said with a smile seeing what was going to happen now. New life. Before I start I want to say one thing. There will be more people participating in the story and I will change the name of Issei's brother. He will no longer be called Ryu because that is the name of a friend of mine, but now he will be called Zak. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Sakamaki residence. In a huge mansion you can see in one of the many rooms a brown-haired baby asleep in a crib while he had some toys next to him. The baby was still but then moved, implying that he was dreaming. Dream, a teenage Issei is seen in a field of very beautiful flowers, being the Elysian fields of Greek mythology with his former friends the faction leaders and his former girls in the beautiful field. Issei. The place is beautiful, don't you believe it? He said with a smile. Rias. Yes, she said with a smile. The Keno. And tell us Issei, why did you bring us? She said curiously. Serafal. If you brought us, it must be for something important, she said confused. Issei. Yes, this is it, girls, tell me, do you already have a partner? He said with a blush while playing with his fingers. Zenobia. Heh, I see where this is going, she said with a smile. Issei. Then you wouldn't like us to be boyfriend and girlfriend, he said with a smile, while a certain brunette with pigtails hugs him. Irina. Of course, she said with a happy smile. Issei didn't say anything, he just smiled, hugging her with great affection until the whole dream suddenly changed, now being a cloudy sky on the outskirts of the Haidu mansion. Issei. What the hell would this confused guy say? But for some reason, a force that he can't stop makes him walk inside the mansion. Issei. Why can't I stop, he said as he continued walking until he was on the outskirts of a room where moans and sounds of a creaking bed were heard. Issei. No 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 please no, he said desperately as he grabbed the handle about to open the door until he woke up. Issei returned to the real world as a baby who began to cry with a lot of pain, not physical but more emotional, and it was like that for a while, until the door was opened by Mamako, who entered the room taking him in her arms and rocking him to calm him down. Mamako. Okay, my baby was just a nightmare, mommy is here to protect you, she said, while little by little Issei calmed down looking at his new mother, who gives him an angelic smile, while holding a rattle in her hand. Issei, upon seeing her, just smiles, raising his little hands with the intention of touching her, which makes the brunette smile, taking her son's little hands. Mamako. It was just a nightmare, mommy is here, don't be afraid, she said with a smile. Issei. Please mommy don't leave me, he said in his mind seeing his mother. Mamako. Don't worry, I'll stay with you until you fall asleep, she said with a smile, making Issei happy, but what they didn't know was that a certain white-haired man was watching them from the door with a smile. The next morning, the couple is seen walking together while Issei played with some toys in a baby stroller, while the couple talked about unimportant topics, being the center of attention where women looked at the albino with hearts in their eyes and blushes while men looked at the brunette with lust. Woman 1. You see how handsome that man is. Woman 2. He looks like a prince. Woman 3. He's a hot eye, his face looks like it was carved by the angels themselves, said one, while everyone looked at her confused. Man 1. How hexy that woman is. Man 2. How lucky are the ugly ones. He said, annoyed at the luck of the white-haired man. Man 3. Man, I would buck her in the ass all night while I suck on those tits, he said with lust, earning some disgusted looks from some people present. The couple didn't care what people said about them as they started playing in a nearby park with their son. Mamako was sitting on a bench and watched with a smile as her son played while her husband arrived with some ice cream. Subaru. Look, Issei, I bought some ice cream, he said with a smile as he gave one to his wife and began to feed his son who was more than happy. After a few hours of playing, Issei is seen sleeping on his father's chest, being very tired, while his parents just put him in his baby stroller until the brunette smiles mischievously seeing her husband. Mamako. Hey honey, what will we do when Issei grows up? What will you do with his stroller? Subaru. I don't know, maybe sell it I guess, he said confused. Mamako. And if you leave it that way, the next one can be happy, she said with a flirtatious tone, blowing in her husband's ear, making him feel a chill. Mamako. And if we give Issei a little brother, she said while kissing her husband on the cheek. Subaru. Oh, wow, that interests me, but I'll need plenty of ammunition, he said, referring to Viagra pills for the action. Sakamaki residence. The couple would arrive home, and after feeding their son they would bathe him, change him and leave him in his crib, while the couple retired to their room where the husband fell asleep immediately, but after a few seconds, more specifically about 50, he would wake up tied to the bed. Subaru. What the hell, how did I end up like that? He said, seeing his body tied up. Then his wife comes in wearing hexy exotic dancer lingerie. 7W7. Mamako. Come on honey, let's give Issei a little brother or sister, she said with a blush. Subaru. You know my mother warned me about crazy people like you, I just hope you don't disappoint me, I said with a smile, while the brunette gets on the bed crawling towards me while we kissed with great affection and love. Mamako. This will be fun, she said as she turned off the light in the room. Time skip 3 years. A young Issei is seen getting out of bed while yawning and rubbing his eyes. Issei. Yawn. Sakuya. I'm glad you're up, Issei-kun. Your parents are waiting for you in the dining room, said a beautiful silver-haired girl in a maid outfit. Issei. Hi Sakuya-chan said as he changed his clothes and went down to the dining room seeing his parents next to his new little brother. Issei. Oka-sen Otu-sen said while hugging my leg. Subaru. Good morning son, I said with a smile, rubbing his head. Mamako. Good morning son, won't you greet your brother Bell? She said with a smile while holding a 1-year-old white-haired baby. Note. Don't judge me, it's the best I got, besides there were no images of children and I had to settle for this one. Issei. "Hello little brother," he said, hugging him with much affection, putting a smile on his parents' faces for seeing that scene. "Sakuya. Issei-kun, sit down and I'll give you your breakfast." Subaru-sama talked to his friends and they said they would come look for him to talk to you about something. Subaru. "Oh, thank you very much Sakuya-chan," I said with a smile, blushing the maid but earning a serious look from the brunette. Lamako. "It's mine, bitch." Sakuya. "Va sir mio." Subaru. "Everyone wants my goose," I said in my mind with a drop of an I'm-style sweat. Sakuya wouldn't say anything else, going to the kitchen to then take a plate of pancakes and bring them, placing them in front of Issei. Who without saying anything else would take the fork and start eating, giving him the sensation of falling on a layer of fluffy clouds with each bite. His parents begin to eat with their son and when they were finally able to finish they went to their rooms to change and leave the residence, going to the residence of one of their friends. Ryu Hayabusa's residence. At the entrance of the house you can see the legendary ninja waiting for guests until he sees the white-haired man with pink tips next to the brunette and his children. RYUHAYABUSA087. "Hello friend," he said while shaking his hand, giving him a handshake. Come in, the others have arrived," he said, opening the door to his house where Oscar, Giordani, Sebas, Jose, Enzo, Diego were with their respective partners and children. Subaru. "Issei, why don't you go with Belle to play with the children?" I said, while the brown-haired boy just smiles at me, going to play with the children while the adults stay to play. Children of each one. Subaru. Issei, Mayor, Belle, Meaner. Oscar. Emily, Jackie. Sebas, doesn't have one for now. Enzo, Yudo. Diego, Leo, Carlos, Diana. Black, George. Giordani, he doesn't have one for now, or if Nero kills him for messing with his cousin. Ryu, Haruki fem Zhongli, Taiki, Hayat fem Venti, Kai, Mako. Jose, Michael, Johnny. Subaru. Hey, nothing will happen if we leave the children alone. Oscar. Go on, don't worry, they're probably just playing. Sebas. Yes, let them enjoy their childhood. Enzo. They're probably playing with the dolls. Ryu. Relax Subaru, come have a few beers with me. Jose. Yes, we go, they are very good. Diego. Hey Nero, help me cut the meat. Nero. I'm eating meat Sparta style, he said, taking out his katana. Giordani. This shit caught fire. Well, with the children. Issei. Formation, said with a military suit while all the children stand at attention like soldiers. Issei. We are gathered to recover something that belongs to us, and that is the penguin and goose cupcakes that the girls took from us. Leo. How dare they? Carlos. We must get them back. Yudo. For glory. George. I want my goose. Michael. Ready for war. Johnny. Chocolate, said while everyone takes some pillows ready to fight, but the girls were waiting for them. Jackie. Wow, so they wanted to take the cupcakes, she said seriously. Emily. They are ours. Mako. He also told us what they were planning, he said, pointing to an area where it comes out. Issei. No, he said without being able to believe it was his brother Belle. Belle. Holy three. Issei. How could you do this to me, Belle? We are brothers, he said, shedding tears for the betrayal. Ken. I should have guessed, the Jacks always fall first. Haruki. We just gave him a cupcake and he agreed to help us, he said while Belle ate a ganito with his hands and mouth full of chocolate while Hayat hugged him as if he were a stuffed animal. Hayat. Kaya Belle, if you are cute, said, hugging him. Issei. They will pay for what they did to my brother, he said, taking a pillow while all the children do the same. Boys, girls. Charge, they said, throwing themselves at each other using the pillows as weapons. Most epic moments in an anime. While in the living room we were all talking about unimportant topics until something came to mind. The 9. If they must just be playing, we said without knowing the pitched war that was starting up above. The new saint. Oscar. Holy shit, if Santa Claus doesn't give out presents here in Latin America, I will do it myself, he said with a Christmas hat and a bag of gifts. Oscar. Oscar Claus has left home, hide your women and your money, said the new Santa Claus, very handsome. Repentance. Sakamaki residence. It was night in the Sakamaki home. The couple of the brunette and the albino were asleep along with the silver-haired maid, since they both decided to share the man they loved, and right now they are asleep in a large bed. On the other hand, in a room you can see the children of the relationship. Issei was asleep in his bed while Belle is asleep in his crib hugging a rabbit stuffed animal that his father bought him. Issei was asleep, but you could see how he did not stop moving in the crib since he was having a dream. You could see a very big house and a brown-haired teenager cooking breakfast for his wives with a radiant smile as he prepared everything for his girls to eat. Issei of the dream. Issei. No, no, please, I don't want to see these illusions anymore, he said, desperately seeing his old life. It's very late, I'll go wake them up. He said his version of the dream, leaving the food on the table as he went up the stairs towards a room. Issei. No, please stop, don't go up those stairs, stop, don't go up them, he said desperately, but his dream version didn't say anything and only went down with 3 girls, 1 white-haired and 2 black-haired. I'm glad you're waking up, I have a surprise for you, he said with a smile, but the girls had looks of not caring at all. Look, I bought this for you, he said, taking out 3 boxes where there were 3 heart-shaped necklaces with the words for my loved ones. Ross. Yeah, that's good, he said without much interest. Kuroka. That's all, she said bored. No, there's still more, he said, taking out a box where you can see some chocolates. They are your favorites, he said with a smile, but the girls didn't say anything and left. Akeno. We don't have time for this nonsense, we have to go, she said seriously as she left with the girls. But what about breakfast? He said trying to stop them, but the black-haired girl slaps him, knocking him to the floor. Splaff. Akeno. We said no, she said seriously as she leaves the house with the other 2 girls, leaving a depressed Issei. Sniff, why sniff do they treat me like that? Sniff, what did I do wrong? Sniff, well, I will have to improve in everything, he said, wiping away his tears while putting on a smile, going to buy gifts. Issei. It was so useless, he said, depressed, seeing what his life was like in that he wakes up. Issei. It was just a dream, he said depressed while trying to go back to sleep, but he couldn't anymore. He got up and walked to his parents' room, opening the door watching them sleep. Without saying anything, he walked to get on the bed and hugged his dad. Subaru. Hey, he said confused when he felt weight on top of him, seeing a brown-haired boy on my chest. Subaru. Issei, what are you doing? You're a big boy now. You should sleep alone. I said, watching as the child only clings more tightly to his father's chest. Issei. Please dad, I don't want to be alone, he said, hugging his father even more tightly, sighing, rubbing his head. Subaru. It's okay, you can sleep with me, I said while the brown-haired boy fell asleep on my chest. Tomorrow I'll have to talk to him to understand what's happening to him, I said seriously. Gremory Mansion. The Mao Lucifer is seen sitting at his desk signing papers and resolving matters regarding the underworld, but his look was one of total sadness. He had an empty look while signing the papers until he stopped sighing heavily since the truth was known. Zack Haidu had trouble sleeping every night because of nightmares he had with his brother. Guilt corrupted him, so he told the truth. Issei was the one who fought with the Chaos Brigade. He was the one who fought, and he was the one who gave those gifts to the girls. But Zack was very upset that beauties were interested in his brother. Envy corrupted him, and he made the decision to blame him. From there on things changed a lot. Zack was locked in Tartarate, and the girls were not the same as before. Guilt corrupted them, and they always cried every night. The alliance was about to break with the mythologies, but in the end, an agreement was reached so that it would not be like that. The children of the underworld tried to find their true hero, but it was too late, while their parents cursed themselves for being so stupid and believing in an arrogant, envious person instead of someone good. Surziches. Several years have passed since what happened, and things went from bad to worse, Issei said looking into nothingness. Rias Gremory's room. The red-haired girl was crying while hugging a crimson-covered pillow, while repeating the name of her beloved and then screaming so loud that it seemed like her vocal cords were going to explode. The people who worked in the mansion and passed by saw this with pity. Rias. Grigori. At the base of the fallen, a man was seen playing with a black-haired child. Grandpa, my mommy does love me, right? He said, looking at his grandfather. Arakiel. Yes, my child, she loves you, she's just going through a difficult situation, that's all. Just wait and you'll realize that she loves you, he said, looking at his grandson. Child. Okay, he said while continuing to play, then the former leader of the fallen arrives. Azazel. Hi, look what I brought you, he said, showing some toys, which the child grabs. Why don't you go play while I open it with your grandfather? He said with a smile while the child nods, leaving the room, leaving both adults alone. Azazel. And tell me how she is, she said worriedly. Arakiel. Very bad since the truth was known, she is no longer the same as before, he said sadly for his daughter. While in a room a black-haired woman is seen crying while holding a necklace in her hands, one that she repudiated from the beginning, but now it is her greatest treasure. Her appearance was haggard, she had no shine in her eyes, and they were red due to the tears of each night, wishing for a happy life, something that she no longer has. Locking yourself in a fantasy bubble does not change your reality and your actions. Darling. Michael. And tell me, Griselda, how is Gabriel's condition? He said, worried about his sister. Griselda. I'm sorry Michael-sama, but Gabriel-sama's condition is getting worse every day, apart from the fact that he hasn't eaten anything and hasn't stopped crying after finding out about Zach's lie. Haidu said seriously but at the same time worried. What the woman said made the blonde sigh sadly. Michelle. Damn Griselda, there must be something we can do, he said worriedly, but the woman would talk. Griselda. I'm sorry but your condition is very deplorable apart from the fact that you already know why it is. Since after knowing the truth about Issei, she locked herself in her room crying and screaming Issei's name, she said seriously, while the blonde puts on a guilty look upon hearing that. Michael. Well, thank you very much for worrying about her. If I need anything, I won't hesitate to look for you. Griselda. Don't worry Michael-sama, after all it is my responsibility as Gabriel-sama's personal bodyguard, she responded politely but at the same time sadly, noticing a bit of a cold tone. Then the blonde left the area, leaving the brunette alone, who would sigh and then take a photo out of one of her pockets, where Griselda would be seen hugging a nervous Issei. The beautiful brunette woman would only sigh. Griselda. Issei, the woman would say sadly, giving the photo a small kiss and then putting it in one of her pockets and leaving the area. Yakai faction, Queen Yasaka was in her palace with a darkened look after everything that happened where her sanity had already gone to hell, saying things like Kunu is Issei's daughter, or sometimes hurting her new son, so she became pregnant with Zach, but after that she developed a high case of bipolarity, where sometimes she wanted her son, saying that she loved him, but other times she hid him telling him that a failed abortion was a mistake and that she should never have had it. He was currently in the living room of the house until in a second a couple of chestnut trees entered the palace. Yasaka. Hello Mr. and Mrs. Haidu said with a fake smile as the couple entered as if it were their house, since the blonde let them live with them after everything that happened since she still thought she was Issei's wife. But he always had memories of what he said before to the younger chestnut tree. Oh yes act more give me more, my hero you are just a pathetic pervert, you see useless he knows how to make me his, he is better than you those, and more memories came to her head which made her feel worse. The couple goes up to their room, but the sadness of both could be noticed. Boru. Love rest please said leaving his wife in bed who looked very thin and with an empty look where the man sighs sleeping with her by his side, but after a while he watches as his wife gets up being on the terrace of his room sitting in a rocking chair with something in her hands, her most precious object, a bad drawing of a happy chestnut family, seems to have been drawn by a 5-year-old child. The man just looks at the scene and then hugs his wife, who just begins to cry her eldest son was a criminal, and her youngest son left her side she will never see him again, and that only made her even sadder. Carteret. In a cell you could see a young brown-haired man who was tied with chains to the wall where he had traces of torture, burns and cuts all over his body, but it didn't hurt him, since his mind was somewhere else. Zach's appearance. Zach. I deserve it, I know I deserve it, and to think that those memories that gave me satisfaction now torment me every night, my sins, and for that I accept my sentence, but, I do not accept what happened to him, I do not accept it, he deserved something better, little brother, forgive me, he said with sadness, of everything that happened because of him, his damn fault. Location you could see a man in an elegant suit and black hair sitting on a throne while in front of him were 4 young people kneeling. It's time my horsemen of the apocalypse we must find him and finish him off before it's too late he said seriously referring to someone very dangerous. July 43-4. The 4. Yes sir, we'll take care of it, they said as they left the area. Julio. Where did you go? Zamasu said seriously. Unknown location. Zamasu. You damn Sakamaki how dare you do this to a god when I see you I will kill you myself and Plan Zero humans will be carried out he said, locked in a pocket dimension created by him to be able to recover from his wounds. Sakamaki residence. A very serious albino was seen looking out a window with great concern. Subaru. He's coming, I know, I said seriously, Zamasu, I said with much hatred remembering a certain god I will kill you. The destruction of the underworld. Sakamaki residence. You can see the white-haired man playing with his children while his wife was helping the maid in the kitchen. It seemed like a normal day until the albino feels a presence he hadn't felt for a long time. Subaru. It can't be, I said seriously while my son looks at me confused. Issei. Daddy, what happens would be confused. Subaru. It's nothing, son, it's just a small problem, I said with a smile, calming the brown-haired boy, but in my mind I was very serious about what could happen. Black Zamasu said seriously, feeling that they escaped from hell. Underworld. Currently, the people of the underworld were walking normally through the streets, but something strange began to happen. A lightning bolt accompanied by a green cyclone materialized on the road. Inside the vortex, a black portal opened and a levitating form like a Saiyan in dark clothes, carrying a cup of tea, emerged. That was none other than Black. The demons were confused to see him while a crowd surrounded him, all while Black just puts on a smile and takes a sip of his tea, then smiles evilly looking at the demons. Black. Mortals, sinners prepare for divine justice, he said with Kai accumulated in his hand, and then fired a burst of Kai at the defenseless masses who are destroyed by the mysterious power, while Black just drinks tea as if nothing happened. The guard runs to the Gremory mansion, reporting what happened to Surziches, who quickly went along with Serafol Asmodeus and Ajuka to the area watching in horror as thousands of demon civilians including children were on the ground lifeless while the person responsible for what happened just drank tea as if nothing was happening bothering the demon leaders. Surziches. Who the hell are you damn monster shouted with much hatred after what happened, releasing his power of destruction. Black just stops drinking tea while putting on a grim smile worthy of a psychopath. Black. I am just a righteous god who hates mortals, he said while making his cup of tea disappear, placing himself in a fighting pose, while the very annoyed demons launch themselves against him, starting a fight. Serafol creates several magic circles where several ice attacks come out against the god who only generates Kai spheres, destroying them as if it were nothing, something that was taken advantage of by Ajuka and Falbium, who generate magical attacks against him, but Black just smiles dodging the attacks, as if it were nothing to then give both demons a blow, sending them flying. Black. Pathetic he said mockingly and then dodged an attack from Surziches. Surziches. I will kill you shouted angrily releasing more power being very enraged, Goku Black summons his energy sword and launches a barrage of pink crystals that Surziches dodges with difficulty being about to launch an attack, but the crystals behind him explode and throw him forward, sending him into range of Goku Black. Grabbing the neck who launches a deadly rain of blows breaking more than one rib of the super demon who screams very annoyed increasing his power making Black retreat. Serafol. Take this Leviathan storm screamed as a huge blizzard goes against Black, but he just smiles releasing part of his power entering his rose state, releasing powerful gusts of wind who unleashed the storm caused by the jet. Black. What do you think of this color? Isn't it beautiful? He said with madness and arrogance while joining his hands, charging a power in them, bothering both mass for that, since it seems that he had no remorse in what he caused, increasing his power along with his companions who also arrived, increasing their power. Surziches. Ruin of extinction shouted launching a rain of spheres of the power of destruction, while his companions launched some powerful magical attacks against Black, while he finished charging power. Black. Kamaraya. The powerful Kai beam destroys the entire street and numerous buildings with a high impact explosion, while now following the demons who saw in terror how that attack destroyed theirs, as if they were nothing, and received that massive damage from the front, leaving them very wounded. Black. Pathetic he said while generating his Kai sword stabbing his own hand and then pulling it out with force generating in the process a Kai side and then launching a cut in the air, generating a direct Kai cutting attack against Surziches who by pure reflex dodges the attack. Surziches. Thank goodness I dodged it, he said, but then he would look back seeing in horror how the Kai cut generated a space-time crack. Note. Imagine Vegeta as Surziches. After that, thousands of copies of Black emerge from the crack and move throughout the underworld, destroying everything in their path with blows, Kai attacks, and ending everyone's life. Phoenix Mansion. Riser's entourage is seen fighting against a Black clone who was beating him, as if they were nothing until Riser appears launching a fire attack that hits the clone, generating a very large explosion. The very confident blonde shows a smile, but then you would see how the clone comes out, as if nothing happened with a Kai sword forming in his arm, to then launch a cut in the stomach of the Phoenix who spits blood because of that. Riser. Idiot I'm immortal you can't Massachusetts he couldn't finish because Black takes out his hand generating a burst of energy that disintegrates the blonde under the horrified gaze of his entourage. Black clone 1. Pathetic immortal said with a smile launching himself against the entourage ending the life of each one with his Kai sword. Bale Mansion, Sererg can be seen fighting a clone using his balance breaker, but you can see how the clone had the advantage. Sererg. I will kill you, he shouted, throwing himself at them with everything he had, while both of them began to have a physical fight, where it is seen that the clone has the advantage. Black clone 2. Pathetic, he said as another clone appears behind him, splitting him in half with his side, causing both halves to fall to the floor in a pool of blood. With volley. The descendant of Lucifer was in his balance breaker fighting against a Black clone, both being in the air where you can see Volley very upset since several clones ended the lives of his teammates, leaving him very upset about what happened, who attacks launching attacks without stopping. The clone just smiles, dodging each attack, preparing his own Kai attacks, while continuing to dodge as if nothing happened. Black clone 3. That's all, he said with a confident smile, launching his attack, but it collides with what appears to be an attack of destruction from Rias Gremory, who arrived to help in all she could. Rias. I don't know who you are, but I'm not in the mood to put up with idiots, she said with her green eyes swollen with tears. Black clone 3. More trash to kill, he said with a grim smile. From Ria's arm, a green light comes out, being Drake's gem, who, when separated from Zack, went with the red hair to be able to look for Issei. Drake. You monster killed millions, I scream, very annoyed. Black Clone 3. I know, isn't it beautiful, he said with a crazy smile. Mortals are worthless, they only stain the beauty of existence, he said with an evil smile. Drake. I will finish you ready, Whitey said, speaking from Ria's arm. Albion. I'm always ready, he said, speaking from the wings of the armor. Drake. Okay, he said, increasing his power and then performing a chant while the Redeed was covered in crimson red armor. I, the one who will awaken. I am the heavenly dragon who stole the principles of God's domination. I laughed at the infinity and despised the dream. I will become the red dragon of domination. I will sink you into the depths of crimson purgatory. Juggernaut drive. He said, turning into a huge red dragon. Albion volley. Our turn, they said, increasing their power while performing a chant along with the power of office that materialized in their minds. Ali. The pure white dragon that dwells within me, rise from your supremacy. Albion. The silver white morning star I possess within me, claims the throne of dawn. Office. The jet black god of infinity. Ali. The mysterious and unfathomable father of demons. Bali and Albion. We will transcend the limits to accept the oath. All. You will kneel before our bright and glorious existence. He said, activating his strongest armor. The two celestial beasts, being determined, launch themselves against the clone, who turns into his rose state, launching himself against them. For his part, Serziches was on the ground, kneeling, seriously injured after the fight he had. Next to him was half of Seraphal's body since Black disintegrated half of his body with a Kai attack, while Falbium was without arms and legs since Black cut them off, while Lajuka had no head since it was cut off. Serziches was really upset all while he saw with hatred the original Black standing in front of him with that damn superior smile. Black. Last words, Trash said arrogantly while raising his hand with open palm pointing at him. Serziches. I curse you and your entire existence. He shouted with much hatred while a Kai burst disintegrated him. Meanwhile, the celestial dragons continued to fight non-stop against the clone. Albion. Hair Ed, I'll absorb his power and you finish him off, okay, he said, very hurt. Greg. Sounds good to me, he said tiredly. Suddenly Albion raises his wings while saying half dimension repeatedly, absorbing the power while Drake increases his power by saying boost repeatedly and taking him to the center gem, accumulating energy. Black Clone 3. Kami-Hami. Ha shouted launching his attack against the dragons. Drake Albion. Long Ina Smasher Satan Lucifer Blaster shouted the dragons launching their attacks colliding with each other, generating huge gusts of wind, followed by forming a crater at their feet. While in the sky of the underworld. A magic circle is formed from which I emerge seeing the destruction generated. Subaru. Black, I said seriously as I increased my power, generating a huge magic circle from which a huge jet black sun with scarlet touches emerges. Subaru. Egil grown Androa, chaotic flame extinction, I said as I threw the enormous sun against the underworld generating a huge explosion, and the flames spread erasing everything from existence, including Black's clones. Black. No, it can't be, he said, seeing how the attack alone took everything ahead while he was also hit, being erased by the flames. Subaru. I think I overdid it, I said, seeing how there was nothing but destruction while I retreated from the area in a circle, while three figures saw the destruction generated after that attack. Did you see that, guys? If they said seriously. Is he a friend or an enemy, he said seriously, while next to him was the fourth boy and last boy of the group. The four horsemen of the apocalypse. The underworld was destroyed by Black, there are no survivors, the destruction was inevitable, and everything was observed by four boys who decided to appear to be able to resolve the doubts. Grigori, home of the fallen angels. The general base was being attacked by thousands of Black clones which destroyed and devastated everything with Kai attacks. Azazel was fighting with a clone using a trident of light and had his balance breaker activated, but it could be seen that he was tired and hurt by the attacks caused. Around him were the burned corpses of Barakiel and Penemu, caused by the Kai attacks. Azazel. Damn, he said tiredly taking deep breaths. He doesn't look tired, he said seriously, looking at Black as if nothing had happened. Black. Pathetic said about to kill Azazel, but in that a strong presence makes him look up seeing me with a strange sword, it was Issei the sword of rupture of heaven and earth. Subaru. Black damn sinner prepare yourself now you will know the end of the eternal dream I myself will show you the harsh reality I said, while the edge of the weapon begins to spin activating. Black. You damn you will pay for what you did to me by sending me to that damn prison, disgusting mortal, I will kill you, he said generating a Kai scythe, while the other clones generate a Kai sword launching themselves at me, but I only raise the weapon to the sky which begins to expel a red energy. Subaru. Now wake up, a worthy stage has been arranged for you, I said as the aura grew more intense. Black. My perfect world, my dream will not die, I will finish you off myself, he said, throwing a slash with his Kai scythe in my direction. Subaru. Raise your gaze and contemplate Enuma Elish, I said, pointing at the clones, while a huge vortex of energy goes in their direction. Black's clones would be wiped out by the vortex as they were erased from existence. Black. No, he said as he and the clones were wiped off the face of the earth, causing enormous destruction, wiping out what was left of Gregory. Another faction fell. Subaru. Another faction fell, but this one continues, I said seriously as I leave the area in a portal. Current location of Oscar's house. Oscar, Ryu, Sebas and Nero are seen gathered together preparing everything for a party, which will be Oscar's daughter's party. Oscar. Well, Subaru and the rest said they would bring chairs and candy for the children. Sebas. Well, the tables and decorations are ready. Ryu. All that's left is for the guests to arrive. Nero. Guys, what is that? He said, pointing out how 4 hooded strangers came out of a portal in the sky. The hooded figures removed their hoods, revealing a white-haired man wearing a red trench coat, a black-haired man with a hooded head, a man with a blood-red helmet, and a boy with a red wool hat and a leather jacket. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse of July 43-4. Everyone is surprised, but Nero is even more surprised when he sees that one of them resembles his father. Daniel. You said seriously, where is Subaru Sakamaki? Said seriously the white-haired guy from the group. Daniel Sparta War Rider. Alex. Speak now or we'll finish you off, said the boy with a hood and black hair seriously. Alex Mercer, Plague Rider. Nero. What do they want with our friend? He said seriously, taking out his sword. Delson. That's none of your business, said the boy with a wool hat seriously. Delson Rowe, Hunger Rider. Sebas. If they don't say it, we'll have to fight, he said seriously, clenching his knuckles. Jason. If they don't say it the good way, it will be the bad way, he said, preparing a gun. Jason Tood, Horseman of Death. Ryu. It seems like I'm going to have fun, he said with a smile, taking out his dragon sword. Oscar. You know what time it is, it's time to be an anti-hero, he said, pressing his watch as an armadillo. Ryu vs Jason. Ryu runs towards Jason, while the assassin fires a barrage of bullets with his modified Glock pistols, but Ryu blocks them all with his sword and throws several shurikens at Jason, who does a backflip jump dodging him. Jason throws several batarangs at Ryu, but Ryu uses some kunai to block each batarang and then throws them at Jason, but he jumps and dodges them and goes into a nearby forest. Ryu. Stop running, coward, said, entering the forest trying to look for him, but then takes out a smoke bomb, disappearing in it, while Jason shoots at the cloud of smoke, but does not hit anything. Jason. Where did he go? He said, looking everywhere, pulling out a sword until Ryu appears behind him, throwing a slash with his sword which destroys Jason's into pieces. Ryu. I have the steel of the dragon god, shouted as his body was covered in flames, throwing a ball of fire that Jason barely dodges, but then he would see how Ryu transformed into a huge dragon on fire, launching himself at him, giving him a strong blow, sending him flying against a tree, destroying it in the process, leaving him unconscious. Ryu just lets out a sigh as he takes him in his arms and carries him away. Sebas vs Delson. Sebas, who uses his axe, blocking Delson's chain blows using smoke, increasing the force of the blow, but Sebas then launches a shower of cuts against the chains, making him retreat. Delson. Damn, he said, raising his hand, shooting several balls of smoke, but Sebas just dodges them as if it were nothing. Sebas. You're way out of my league, he said with a smile, while Delson gets annoyed, activating his neon power, increasing his speed, starting a race against Sebas, but you could see that the blue-haired man had the advantage. Delson. Damn, well, let's see if you survive this, he said, appearing far away from Sebas. Sebas. Come on, give me your best shot, he said with a smile as Delson began to fire a barrage of neon projectiles at Sebas. But this one just moves through the projectiles as if nothing, standing in front of Delson and starting to fire a shower of bullets from his AK-47 Dragon, filling Delson's chest with blue fire bullets, causing him to fall to the ground. Sebas. Easy, said, about to leave, but then dodges a smoke projectile from Delson, who recovered. Delson. Where do you think you're going? He said seriously while accumulating power in his feet, propelling himself upwards and then plummeting down using smoke to increase the damage of his fist, enhanced by the fall. Sebas, who saw this, became serious and then shouted the following. Sebas. Zawarito shouted, stopping time, stopping Delson in full he said, throwing a shower of blows, while time returns to its normal flow, where Delson would be sent flying crashing into a wall, becoming unconscious, while Sebas takes him away. Oscar vs Alex. Alex launched a shower of cuts with his sword-shaped arm, but thanks to his armadillo form Oscar resists each cut, the latter jumps, and then hits the ground with his active pneumatic hammers, generating a small earthquake, making Alex lose his balance being taken advantage of by Oscar, who gives him a double blow, sending him flying against a car destroying it. Alex very annoyed gets up, while making his hands change now being sharp claws. "Alex. Die," he said, digging his claws hard into the ground while a series of spikes come out of the ground where Oscar suffers a few cuts but nothing out of this world. "Oscar. That's it, the virus deserves to be finished with radiation," he said, changing to NRG. From the helmet's vents comes out a colored ray hitting Alex in the chest sending him back, leaving him very injured, but he is very upset and activates the biomass armor going against Oscar with his sword ready. Oscar without saying anything makes the heat ray coming out of his helmet increase its temperature, making Alex gradually lose strength and losing his armor falling to the ground with his body burned, but he regenerates thanks to his virus. Oscar returns to his base form while he takes him in his arms, leaving him tied up inside the house. Daniel vs Nero. Both clash their swords constantly being between Rebellion and Yamato. "Nero. Why do you look so much like my father?" he said seriously. "Daniel. I don't know who your father is, but will you tell me where Subaru is, yes or no?" he said, stepping back and then launching a shower of energy cuts with his sword. Nero sheathes his sword and then launches a series of light cuts, destroying Daniel's cuts. "Nero. Why do you want to see him?" he said seriously. "Daniel. He destroyed the underworld and killed Gregory," he said seriously. "Nero. And those damn traitors deserved it for what they did to his son." "Daniel." Son said confused, "What is your name?" "Nero. His name is Issei," he said seriously, while Daniel was shocked to hear that name, while anger took over his body, activating his devil trigger just like Nero. "Daniel. I will kill Issei," shouted very annoyed, launching himself against Nero using his swordmaster, but Nero blocks each one with ease. But Daniel, possessed by anger, activates his gunslinger mode, firing a shower of bullets with demonic energy in each one leaving destruction in its wake. But Nero activates his doppelganger mode, generating a shadow clone, followed by both using their royal guard mode, increasing their muscle mass, followed by stopping time with quicksilver and teleporting with air. Trickster mode appearing around Daniel, beginning to throw a shower of blows and bombarding him from top to bottom with fierce blows, followed by Nero summoned a huge demon that with a strong blow buries Daniel in the floor. "Nero. We will know what you want even if it is by force," he said seriously, taking Daniel and leaving him tied up. At that a portal opens from which Subaru comes out, me. V. And a black-haired man in a suit being Julio, do you remember him? V. Subaru. "Hey guys, we have news," I said, but then I would see the four horsemen unconscious. "Julio?" Mame said shocked. "Oscar." "Subaru, who is he?" said seriously. "Subaru. He's a friend I met and they said pointing to the riders are his followers' children." Sebas. "Oh, I think we screwed up, right?" Nero. "I don't care, they wanted to hurt your son." Julio. "What's your name?" he said curiously. Ryu. "His son's name is Issei," he said, making Julio surprised. Julio. "I see why we don't start talking to resolve doubts," he said while everyone calmed down and entered the house. At that moment, a portal opens from which Jose, Diego, Enzo, and Giordani emerge with traumatized faces. The four. Mental note: never angry Subaru, that guy is a bucking psychopath, they said traumatized. Meeting new allies. Several hours have passed since the battle against the horsemen of the apocalypse, who were on the sofa unconscious, while the 9 of us were sitting talking with Julio. Although Giordani, Diego, Jose and Enzo still had traumatized faces. Oscar. "Come on, tell us what you saw." Sebas. "It must have been something very strong for them to have that face." Nero. "Tell me what happened." Enzo. "What we saw will never be erased from our memory." Ryu. "Tell me what happened," he said, annoyed by so much mystery. Diego. "Do you know the Hodom Dory?" he said while we all fell silent upon hearing that. Nero. "Why the hell are you saying that?" he said disgusted. Jose. "Well, we saw that in the front row," he said with trauma. Giordani. "We don't know how to explain it because he couldn't finish because I raised my hand and interrupted him." Subaru. "Let me talk, what happened was." Flashback. "We were all gathered in the living room after seeing something that screamed not to be seen, and what we saw was the Hodom Dory. The vast majority of us remained silent with different reactions. Enzo and Jose began to vomit because of what they saw. Diego was in a corner holding his head tightly while repeating to himself that he didn't see anything because of the trauma. Giordani had a lost look as if his soul had left his body while I was serious and with my hair covering my eyes while I squeezed my hands with great fury, releasing part of my power, destroying a large part of the ground. Giordani. I won't be able to sleep peacefully anymore, he said with a lost look. Enzo. What I saw I will never forget. Diego. Because he repeated to himself. Issei. How could she do that to the poor boy? He said, vomiting. Subaru. This is not going to stay like this, I said seriously, opening a portal that we all crossed, taking us to the top of a building that was in front of a park where we saw a pink-haired woman with 4 old men, one with a nasty look, another bald who looked like a corpse, and 2 horrible fat men who were touching the pink-haired woman's private parts. Subaru. Oh no, that's what I didn't say seriously, creating a barrier around the park, making everyone go to a different space where we appeared in a portal in front of the group. Old man 1. Who the hell are you and why are you ruining our fun? He said seriously, but he would receive a blow from me. Subaru. Men like you disgust me, I said seriously, creating a gun and shooting him in the legs, making him fall screaming in pain. The others, seeing this, tried to run, but then the old man 3's leg was cut off by Diego's claws. The fat man 2 tried to flee, but his feet were pierced by Enzo's chains, and the fat man 4 runs desperately, but then falls, since Issei shot him in the spine, making him disabled for life. Subaru. Oh, I don't think so, I said madly, looking at them with a grim smile, making the old men feel true terror when they saw me. Subaru. You all will receive punishment for being lustful. Diego. You better go, he said seriously as the pink-haired girl runs away. Old man 1. Who the hell are they? I'll kill them, and when I do, I'll grape Odom-chan. He shouted angrily, but then I would hit him. Enzo. Shut up, trash, we'll take care of all of you, they said with a smile as a portal took them to an abandoned room. A little while later we were all gathered while in front of us were 5 chairs with the 4 old men and a girl, being this the sister of Katsuki, the bitch of Rinka who sold Odom to the old men. Enzo hit old man 2 with a metal bat while Diego cuts off old man 3's fingers. Issei shoots old man 4 in the knees while I hit old man 1 in the face. Old man 1. Please have mercy, he said desperately with his broken nose and protruding teeth. Subaru. What are you saying, old man? Why don't we play a game that I like? I said with a grim smile. Old man 1. A game, said with fear. Subaru. Guys, I recommend you leave the room, I said with a psychopathic look, scaring everyone, that's why those who leave the room. When they do, they stay in the waiting room listening to screams of pain, sounds of flesh being crushed, and sounds of a chainsaw. Diego. Don't buck with me, that's the devil, dude, don't buck with me, he said with fear. Enzo. The devil is on the loose, he's treading on the same pavement, he said fearfully. Giordani. No, seriously, he looks like a bucking psychopath, the Subaru said fearfully. Issei. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, he said praying with great fear. Issei. Start praying, he said scared, while the rest began to pray and sing Bible verses until the door opens and I come out all covered in blood. Diego. What the hell did you do to them, bro? Subaru. Oh, nothing, we just talked, I said with a smile while the boys look at the room, seeing from a chainsaw, butcher knives, meat cutting machines, butcher hooks, circular saws and a damn industrial meat grinder. The 4. Mame said with fear. End of flashback. Subaru. And that's what happened, I said, while everyone was shocked to hear that, seeing me with a hand face, are you okay? Sebas. Friend, we know you hate NTR. But. Nero. Don't you think you exaggerated? Ryu. Just a little bit, no more, he said with fear. Subaru. No, don't exaggerate, I said simply while the riders wake up. Daniel. What the hell happened? He said confused. Subaru. Good morning, sleeping beauty, I said mockingly. Alex. Sakamaki screamed, very annoyed, about to throw himself at me, but was stopped by Julio. Julio. Calm down, Alex, he's an ally. Elson. How can we trust him? He said seriously. Jason. Yes, the idiot destroyed Gregory and the underworld using just one move, he said seriously, showing the images of how I destroyed the underworld with Egil Grown Andra and how I wiped out Gregory using Enuma Elish, leaving everyone in shock. Subaru. Hey, to begin with, it was already destroyed, thanks Black, I said seriously. All. Black said confused. Subaru. Goku Black, I said while everyone now understood. Oscar. Wait, Black, you're talking about Zamasu, right? Subaru. The same serious saying. Sebas. But how? Enzo. Why does he hate you so much? Nero. How did you lock him up? Ryu. You finished him off. Subaru. Hey, let me talk, I said while everyone stays quiet. Subaru. Okay, to start, when Zeno-sama eliminated Zamasu, he managed to survive, but only a minuscule part of him without all his power, which is why he reached hell, where he was tortured in the 9th infernal circle, with beings like Thanos, Musin, Rizavam and beings of that style, but apparently he escaped, I said seriously. Daniel. That damn escaped, said seriously. I killed the president and the others. When I kill him, the next will be Issei, he shouted, very annoyed. While when I heard that, I got upset, putting a sword to his neck. Subaru. What is the hatred towards my son? I said, very annoyed. Daniel. Your son ruined the girls' lives, he said, very annoyed. Enzo. And how do you know that? He said, confused. Daniel. I know because I lived it, he said seriously, confusing everyone. Issei. Who exactly are you? He said, confused. Daniel. Currently they know me as Daniel Sparta, but before I was known by the name Gasper Vladi, he said seriously, leaving everyone in shock. 3, 2, 1. Everyone except the riders and Julio. Cooey, we screamed in shock. Subaru. You were the damn rag, I said, shocked. Diego. That must be a joke, right? Daniel. You won't see. When I became like this, I realized something, and that is that Issei manipulated the girls, making them his harem against their will, until Julio defeated him and killed him, freeing the girls from his mental control. Then I found out about the different dimensions, and that in mine there was an evil Issei, and there were from good to bad, but I don't trust any of them. I hate them all equally, he said seriously. Subaru. Well, you should know that my son suffered much more than you, and we can't allow you to come and kill him, I said seriously. Nero. And how did you inherit the Sparta surname? He said seriously. Daniel. I easily met Dante and Virgil, where they became my teachers, and I inherited the Sparta surname, he said seriously, leaving everyone in shock. Julio. Well, look, our objective will be to finish off Black so that he stops creating chaos. So, what do you think of a temporary alliance? He said while everyone was in shock upon hearing that. Subaru. I speak for everyone when I say that we agree, but if for some reason this bastard, I said, pointing at Daniel, touches my son, I will kill him myself, I said angrily. Daniel. I want to see you try it, he said seriously as we both released our auras of power. Julio. Okay, that's fine by you guys. Elson. For me, yes. Alex. Same. Jason. I have no problems. Daniel. Sigh. Okay, I accept the alliance, he said resignedly. We all nodded as we shook our hands in a sign that we were ready when Black came to finish him off. Meanwhile, Kingdom of Nothing. Black and Zamasu are seen in front of a group of 3 people. Black. When we finish with him we will be free of hell, he said seriously. Zamasu. That damn mortal dared to do that to me, but we'll see when we kill him, he said seriously. Thanos. I'm in. Subaru ruined my relationship with death. He deserves to die, the Mad Titan said seriously. Musin. That bastard took all the blue lily flowers I needed to become immortal, now he'll pay me, he said seriously. Rizavam. I finish off all the members of the Chaos Brigade, and my plan to have the power of Trihexa said seriously. I want to kill him. Zamasu. The new masters of the world have arrived, he said with arrogance and madness of power. The Nightmares team has been formed. New admins. Subaru. Who wants to be admin? I said while everyone was silent, but then. Nero. I want to be the. Subaru. Take power, I said, giving him the power. Nero. Oh, the power is too much, he screamed as a light illuminated him. Nero. The power is mine. Subaru. Who else wants to be an admin? I said, to which someone raised their hands. Ryu. I can be it. Subaru. Feel the power flow through your Tula, I said, giving him the power. Ryu. Now I have absolute power and everyone doesn't give a damn. Enzo. Oh, how cool, I want it too. Subaru. No more words, he said, giving him the power. Enzo. Oh my, everyone gives a damn. Subaru. And you said, pointing at Diego. Diego. Who me v. Subaru. No, imbecile, the plant is obviously my friend, so here, I said, giving him the power of the admin. Enzo. Diego. We are the absolute beings, they shouted with power flowing in their bodies. Sebas. Dude, I want it too. Subaru. No more words, I said, giving him power. Julio. What the hell did he say, shocked. Subaru. You like July? Julio. It looks incredible, hey, I can be an admin too. Subaru. Only if you win me. July. In which? Subaru. If you answer me, what is the square root of 9? July. 3. Subaru. Done, I said, giving him power. Julio. Total world domination, said with a smile. Congratulations and thank you for everything. Subaru. Hello everyone, this is not an episode, don't worry, I'm already working on it. This is just to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Also, to give my friends Issei and Giordani a gift. Issei Giordani. Which they said confusedly. Subaru. This said giving them the power of the admin. Issei Giordani. We are finally admin they said with mountains of money behind them. Subaru. Well, leaving that aside. Akita. Wait said appearing on the scene I also want to be an admin. Subaru. Okay I'm going just tell me it's the last one. Nobody said anything. Subaru. Okay you're the last one I said giving him the power. Akita. Oh my god I have the power of the universe said as lightning struck around him. Subaru. XD well leaving that aside I love this year since I met a lot of people that I see as my friends even though we don't know each other in real life. I hope to meet them one day and be great friends and also that next year is as good as this one. This series was originally a version in my own way of a story that was forgotten by its creator and I wanted to do it my way and thanks to Julio's advice, I was able to continue it. This series will end before the new year arrives. But anyway, leaving that aside, I wish everyone who watches this a great holiday season, even if you don't have anyone by your side, even if someone close to you has died, or even if you're alone, let me tell you that you're not alone, because no one is alone if they keep in mind those people who made their life happy. Also eat a lot, sleep a lot and have hex a lot, okay, don't follow Rashi's advice for a good life. Well that would be all this series is about to end do not worry without anything else to say your friend Issei David alias Subaru Sakamaki says goodbye the admin wishes you many blessings and wishes. Subaru. But first, I just have a few last things to say, but first, cool boy mode activated. Subaru. Now what I wanted to tell you is, thank you very much for everything, for being with me here. Your comments make me very happy. I like talking to you and participating in other stories because that makes me understand that I'm not alone. I don't care about winning, just being with my friends. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Blessings to all. P.S. I'm leaving you this Halloween video, and yes, Halloween has already passed, but I'm leaving it here so you can laugh for a while. Oscar this is the video I want you to put in a reacting. The Horsemen of the Apocalypse versus the Terror Squad. Unknown location. Zamasu is seen with his team seriously looking at the city where our protagonists are located. Zamasu. Simple sinners prepare for your end, said the god arrogantly, while generating a massive sphere of power, with the intention of destroying the city, but in that the sphere is destroyed under the confused gaze of Zamasu. Subaru. I'm sorry, imbecile little god, you were looking for something, I said, appearing. Zamasu. You said with hatred of seeing me. Subaru. But look at who we have here, the self-proclaimed god who thinks he's perfect but is just a crybaby, the crazy titan who is just a simp of death, the demon who likes being a rag, and the demon who thinks he's bad but is just an old lesbian, that this is a meeting of beings who think they are villains, but are just a damn group of cowards and crybabies, I said mockingly, annoying the four who were now more than annoyed. Zamasu. You will pay for what you did to me he said seriously. Subaru. The one who turned you into an amorphous mass that suffered, I said with a smile. Musin. I'm much stronger than before, he said seriously. Subaru. Says the guy I turned into a woman who was raped by demons and also a little by me. Rizavam. Idiot I have the power of Trihexa you can't beat me he said seriously. Subaru. The stuffed dragon, don't make me laugh. Thanos. We will finish you atom by atom. Subaru. What did you say, Mr. Scrotum Chin? I said, making the four of them see me annoyed, throwing themselves at me, deciding to kill me. The four. We will kill you, the terror team shouted with much hatred. Subaru. They are just a group of clowns who believe they can defeat me with their artifacts, Ring of Time, Infinity Gauntlet, Sacred Gear of Trihexa, Blue Lily Flower, when I fought the four gods of chaos, as well as the Scarlet King himself I said seriously appearing behind them having in my hands the Ring of Time and the Infinity Gauntlet. Zamasu Thanos. Impossible they said in disbelief as he destroyed the objects as if nothing had happened. Subaru. I'm sorry, that was important, I said with a smile, then stopped a cut from Rizavam and Musin who were very upset. Subaru. You think you're demons, don't make me laugh, I'll show you what a real demon is, I said as a crimson red aura appears on my body, causing both of them to step back when they felt it. When the aura dissipated, my appearance changed to that of a true demon with white skin, long reddish hair, and huge horns on my head. As well as in my hands were a blue scythe with skull decorations, along with a Viking-style axe with Nordic ears. Subaru. Who wants to die? I said with a voice from the grave, making both of them step back. Zamasu. Don't be afraid, it's just one, he said seriously, but behind him 3 magic circles are formed from which the bros and the horsemen of the apocalypse come out along with Julio. Andal Alex Delson Jason. They will pay for all the lives they killed, they said with much hatred, launching themselves at them. Oscar. PSST hey bro we help them. Subaru. Let's not leave them alone, after all it's their fight, but when we see that you have problems we'll help them, I said, summoning chairs while we sat next to a force field, protecting ourselves with food from our countries. The 10. Hit them with the chairs, we shouted, supporting the boys. Note. If you ask why this decision, well, it's because Julio asked me to, and well, to be good to the new one you have to always be kind, don't you think? Besides, we are admins, they are not. End of note. XD. Andal vs Zamasu. Elson vs Thanos. Jason vs Musin. Alex vs Rizavam. Jason takes out several weapons and begins to shoot at Musin, who stops the shots using the blades on his tentacles. Musin. That's all, he said, seriously, performing a blood ritual. Demonic heart blood threads. Blood explosion, he said, well, with his hands he generates several red threads around Jason, who is wrapped by them, and then explodes in an explosion of flames. Musin. Miserable human, said as he walks away, but then receives a cut that tears off his arm in the process. The demon, seeing this, screams in pain, while his arm regenerates, seeing Jason behind him, who had a halberd in his right hand and a gun in his left hand. Jason. You finally realize that I'm not that hard to beat. It's not like this halberd was given to me by Lucifer Sama. I present to you the devourer of heaven, said with her weapon. Musin. Damn, he said, jumping and then punching the air. Death of the void, he shouted as he punched the empty air in front of him, creating a shock wave that flies towards Jason, with the intention of hitting him from afar, but he, using the blade of the halberd, blocks each shock wave. Jason. Receive this, he said, throwing a cut to the air, generating a tornado of sharp wind, causing Musin to have thousands of cuts all over his body, making him retreat. Jason, seeing this, grabs his halberd from the base, preparing to lower it with force, preparing his best blow, while Musin for his part takes a mouth from his stomach, from where thousands of tentacles come out in the direction of Jason, but he lowers his weapon with force. Jason. Sky Eater shouted as he brought his weapon down with force, generating a super wind cut that Musin receives, falling unconscious to the ground. In that, black chains appear, wrapping his body while the earth itself swallowed him. Ryu. What the hell was that? He said, confused. Subaru, Chains of Hell is an ability of mine that allows me to chain any living being and send it straight to hell, I said seriously. Sebas. What an interesting technique, although it has a weakness, and that is that if someone were conscious they could dodge it as if nothing had happened. Subaru. Exactly, that's why I took advantage of seeing him unconscious to wrap him up, I said seriously. Alex vs Rizavam. The high-class demon generates thousands of magic circles bombarding with demonic energy, but Alex dodges each one. Rizavam. Damn, stop moving, don't you see, I'm going to kill you, he said seriously, launching more attacks, but Alex dodges each one, while launching several cuts with his claws, while Rizavam dodges each one with great difficulty, about to launch an attack, but a tentacle coming out of Alex's body pierces Rizavam's arm, causing him to scream in pain. Alex. I'm stronger than you. He said seriously while his eyes shine with an intense red color. Rizavam. Shut up, damn human, he said seriously, but Alex pierces his other arm with another tentacle. Alex. You are weak, Rizavam, you lack hatred, he said seriously while summoning his sacred weapon given by Lucifer Sama, the Leviathan axe. When taken, it would release smoke, but it was not heat, but icy, like ice. Alex. Receive this heavy runic. Breath of Thamur shouted as he raised his axe, as a huge blizzard of ice shards appeared, dealing multiple wounds to Rizavam. Rizavam. Damn, die, he said as a gauntlet appeared on his arm, where he heard the boost sound repeatedly. Boost 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 to then charge a crimson red power sphere. Rizavam. Dark Dragon Shot shouted, launching an energy attack, but after that Alex dodges the attack while tightly grabbing his axe and then slamming it hard into the ground. Alex. Light Runic. River of Blade said, taking the edge of the axe out of the ground while thousands of ice stakes go in the direction of Rizavam while he receives it, creating a strong wound in his chest, leaving him very hurt, but then the axe appears giving him a cut in his chest, digging into it while some chains wrap around his body, taking him to Helx. Elson vs Thanos. The Titan, using a huge sword, tries to cut Delson, but he turns into smoke, dodging the cut and then launching a shower of smoke projectiles that Thanos receives without suffering much damage. He was about to launch another cut but would receive a shot from Sebas with his AK-47 Dragon while shooting fire bullets along with Issei, Giordani, Nero, Ryu, Oscar. Subaru. Hey Tunas, why are you so simple? I said, annoying the Titan. Thanos. Damn it, shut up, when I'm done with him you'll be next, he said very annoyed and then looked at Delson, who had strange chains on his arms. Elson would move his chains in a circle like a propeller, generating a tornado of fire, injuring Thanos, making him retreat. Thanos charges his natural eternal abilities and fires a powerful ray from his head with a loud scream, but Delson turns into smoke, dodging that to then summon a series of angels. Delson. Here comes heaven and hell, and Delson said while the angels fly high to then fall in a dive, hitting the Titan, while Delson moves his chains to then drop the chains like a meteorite. Delson. Heavy runic. Chaos meteors descending screamed as a huge rain of fireballs left Thanos badly injured. Thanos. Wretch, he said, very annoyed, but then chains appear, dragging Thanos underground. Subaru. I hope you enjoy watching Deadpool bucking death in the ass in your face. Thanos. No, screamed as he was swallowed by the earth. Daniel vs Zamasu. Zamasu. Disgusting mortal, prepare to die, said the god as a white ring with purple edges came out of his back. Blades of judgment, he screamed as a shower of red orbs that turned into needles go straight against Daniel, but he just smiles, taking out a katana that expels an aura of pure heat. Daniel. I present to you the solar katana, he said, while it was surrounded by fire. Solar dragon halo solo posture, he shouted, while a huge fire dragon appears behind him and with it destroys the thousands of needles that were going in his direction. Daniel. What's going on, God, does it bother you that a mortal can keep up with you? He said mockingly, bothering Zamasu. Zamasu. Keep up with me, you stupid, I challenge you to try it, he said seriously as silver white spheres of power came out of his hands. Divine meteor, shouted the god, launching millions of silver-colored Kai attacks. Daniel just smiles, activating his devil Tigger, followed by the doppelganger fighting mode, generating a shadow clone, then smiling using his quicksilver mode, stopping time. Daniel. Now let's see if you survive this, he said as he and his clone appeared behind Zamasu, while their swords were bathed in fire and demonic power. Daniel. Sun demon breath. Demon fire blasts, he yelled as he launched thousands of slashes, generating a huge explosion that made half of Zamasu's body turn into an amorphous purple mass. Zamasu. You damn mortal, how dare you do this to a god? He said with hatred, but the chains surround him. Subaru. The game is over, Zamasu, I said seriously. Zamasu. Listen to me well, bastard. I swear that when I leave your damn kingdom, I will end your life and that of your son. He shouted as the chains engulfed him in the earth. End. After the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse defeated the team of terror and they were sent to hell to receive their punishment once again. Julio. Well guys, it was good while it lasted, but now we've gotten revenge on Zamasu and sent him back to where he deserves, along with those who escaped from hell, he said with a smile. Subaru. You know you can count on me for anything, I said with a smile. Daniel. Our goal was to finish them off and we achieved it. Elson. Let us avenge the thousands of deaths caused by them. Jason. Their souls may rest in peace. Alex. Our mission is done now, we must save more worlds, he said while they were about to enter a portal until. Subaru. Hey Daniel, before you go, I want you to know one thing, I said seriously, stopping the white-haired man and his team. Daniel. What do you want? He said seriously. Subaru. I'm just telling you not to always judge someone by their actions, because even though they may be someone weird and quite an idiot, that doesn't define their personality. That person may be an angel, I said with a smile, while Daniel said nothing. Daniel. I'll take that into account, he said seriously as he entered the portal followed by his companions, leaving Julio behind. Julio. Something tells me this won't be the first and last time we see each other again, he said with a smile as he entered the portal, leaving us alone. Subaru. I guess it's over, I didn't mean it. Oscar. Are you okay, bro? Sebas. We see you differently. Enzo. Do you need help or something? Nero. Come on, say it. After all, we are friends. Diego. Don't be afraid to say what you feel. Subaru. Thanks guys, but I just want to be with my son, that's all I said as I left the area. Jose. Wait, are you sure? Ryu. Remember you are not alone. Giordani. And that you will never be alone again. Subaru. Thanks guys, I just feel weird after everything that happened, you know, with the issue that Issei in that universe was bad and all that, it really makes me think about something. All Issei's haters think he's like that without knowing him better, I said while everyone fell silent upon hearing that. Subaru. Hey, well, it would be best if I put that aside, I said, opening a portal where I entered, leaving everyone behind. Sakamaki mansion location. It was already night in the mansion and everyone was asleep. Everything was in a sepulchral silence until a portal was formed in the room where I left, going up the stairs to reach the second floor of the mansion, where without saying anything, I entered the dark corridors of the same to then stop in a room being Issei's and Belle's, where upon entering I saw my children in their respective beds sleeping. I approached without making any noise and then carefully sat on Issei's bed and stroked his hair gently. Subaru. Many hate you for no apparent reason, I said seriously, but not me, I am someone who thinks things through, not like others say they hate you for being perverted when they see Goku fix in X9 world where they make him a professional bucker for no apparent reason, I said seriously. Subaru. Heh, who's the real pervert, you or them? I said mockingly while rubbing his hair. Don't worry, son. I will always be by your side and I will not allow anything bad to happen to you since you are my little angel. I said as I got up and left the room without realizing that Issei was awake. Issei. The one who has to be happy is me, Dad, you were the light in the darkness of my life, I appreciate everything you did for my dad, I will always love you, Dad said with a smile as he went back to sleep. End of the story. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching, if you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day, bye.